Okay. Now it's like, whoa. All right. Now let's start. Let's start with the formalities. Welcome to the BroDiallo show. This is BroDiallo speaking to you live and direct, straight out of the studios of Q4 here in the city of Chirac, state of Illinois. Oh, I forgot the sanctuary hypocrisy that is the city of Chirac, the state of Illinois, in the United States of America, in the ravaged, hyper-exploited planet Earth within the misnamed Milky Way galaxy. This is, of course, the BroDiallo show. I'm very happy to be here. I have missed y'all. Monday before last, it was the King holiday, sing, celebrate. And then last week, I was actually traveling. So I wasn't able, I was hoping to get to my destination in time to go live remote, but things didn't line up for me. And every time that people saying audio, we having the trouble with audio. Oh, every time I say that I'm traveling, it kind of bothers me. I have to laugh to myself because I don't like saying the word travel because I don't want to ever be mistaken for a sovereign citizen, you know. And so I like to say maybe I was flying, I was transversing, I was conveying. But every time I say I'm traveling, I'd be like, oh, I sound like a sovereign citizen. So, but anyway, I'm very happy to be back. I'll be here, and then I do have another trip coming up. I will be traveling, not as a sovereign citizen though. I will be traveling in another 3 weeks, but hopefully I could set a schedule. I got to go check my schedule because I hate missing the shows. I hate missing engaging with my listeners and the BroDiallo show supporters. You know, because every time I step away from this microphone, mess goes down. I feel like I'm holding things down whenever I'm here, you know, keeping things from happening. Because I leave this microphone, and by the time I come back, it's too much stuff for me to even talk about. I can't even cover all the madness, you know. And we got some heavy stuff to talk about. Today's show is called Black Logic Matters: Atrocity Hopping versus Sustained Resistance. And I don't even want to talk about that because I'm tired. I'm tired. I was born black. I live black, and I'm going to die probably because I'm black. You know, if you know the rest of that, go ahead and just say it out for me. So, but I guess we got to deal with it. You know, and y'all don't understand what my position is because I feel alone most of the time. I feel alone most of the time in terms of my persistent outrage, my persistent disgust with the systems and institutions of global white domination. But it's not born out of the fact that white folks being white folks, because white folks been the only consistency in my life. The only consistent thing in my entire life have been white people and their predatory behavior. And I don't know, you know, this is something I've observed growing up, because I've had friends who had stable lives and I had friends who had very unstable lives. I've had friends, myself included, and associates who grew up, you know, dealing with housing instability and homelessness, income instability, food insecurity, they say it now. We used to say hungry. We was just hungry. But now they got a sophisticated word for being hungry called food insecurity. And I've noticed now that I'm much older and I'm still good friends with the brothers and sisters that came up under those conditions of just chaos, that they value stability. They value organizations. I go over the homes, I visit, and, you know, I go back home to Kansas City and I visit with the brothers and sisters who I knew grew up like me, very unstable. Very unstable. You could end up in foster care. You could end up staying with your mama, your auntie, your grandma. You could end up staying on a park bench for the night. Or even like my mom and I, when we were homeless, we spent the night in the basement of mosque. And my mom wasn't even a Muslim. And I go to their houses and they have order. And they have like where they put their wine bottles and their game. Like my homie got his gaming system, everything, his Xbox and PlayStation, everything is orderly and stacked. Like when you grow up with that instability, it gives you a different level of appreciation for order and stability. Like my wife grew up extremely stable, loving family, just a postcard upbringing, you know, and she doesn't really, not to say that she's disorderly, but she just has a different look at it. It's just something she takes for granted, I'll say. It's just something that is just real for her. Like, yeah, you know, things supposed to be that way. You're supposed to have a place to live. You're supposed to know, like, coming up the way I did, you come home, no telling who gonna be in your house. Like, who lives in your house is a constantly changing roster. It could be a strung out uncle. It could be a cousin who's on parole, or a niece who's on the run, got several warrants, and she can't go back to her house. So who lives at your house? Who is on the mailbox? You know. And so I see that order that people appreciate when people came up with such instability. And I interact with my friends who came up with that stability versus my friends who came up like me without that stability. And the way we look at order and the way we look at structure and stability, our appreciation of it is a little different. I think we take it less for granted, or that it's just something that is. It's just something we know that it. And so I have to tell y'all, as a person who has that syndrome, like, you look at my drawers, everything's lined up. You know, all my shirts and all my personables, everything's lined up. Everything has a place that it goes, and it must go there. And I don't like when it's not there. And I'm sure you talk to my sons, and then versus me versus their mother, like, put that there. Like, I'll call my son downstairs and say, your shoe is askew. Put your shoes, go there. You know, and I have to be honest with y'all. I have to be honest. The only thing that has been consistent in my life from birth to now, never swayed once, never went askew, never lost a beat, never skipped a beat. Where y'all talk about, oh, God's been there for me, my Lord and Savior. I got the wrong thing on the thing. Y'all say that? This is the one. Sorry. I got so many affiliations. I'm claiming so many sets now. I had the Black Power thing on the thing when I should have had the BroDiallo show thing on. It's Black Power Media is Wednesday and Friday. But I digress. Like I said, I'm claiming too many sets. The only thing that has been there from prior to my birth, been there since I've been in the womb, been there as I look to the past history, and it seems like it's going to be there long into the future, is white aggression, white folks' behavior. The bills wasn't always paid. The heat wasn't always on. Wasn't always food in the refrigerator. Daddy wasn't always around. My mama wasn't always. One thing, my friends was there for me when they could be, and sometimes they weren't there. But the one thing that has never left my side, has never released me from its warm embrace, the only thing that has been omnipresent for y'all is God. To me, it's white aggression, white people's psychopathology. That's the one thing I know I can depend on. And I know it'll be there whether I hit the numbers, I hit a lick, I secured a bag, and I'm living hashtag goals like Jay-Z and Beyonce, or things even get worse for me, and I'm on a park bench, sleeping on a park bench, sleeping on the L train station. One thing I know that will be there at my highest or my lowest is racism and white aggression, white people's white aggression, and the systems and institutions of global white supremacy. And whenever y'all describe the nature of God, he might not be there when you want him, but he's always on time. Everything y'all say about God and your eternal Savior, I see in the real world. From y'all imagination, I see in the material world. So, and I'm saying all that to say, since today's show is titled Black Logic Matters. So I'm seeing that every time whiteness happens, every time the systems and institutions of global white hegemony, domination, capitalism play out the way racism play out the way they have always played out, y'all acting shocked. And that's what causes me my stress. It's not white folks engaging in inhumane treatment of black people. It's not black people on the payroll of white folks behaving that way with white titles and white authorities acting just as bad, if not worse. Black police showing out for the white cop. I just played y'all 2 songs. One was 30 Cops by Boogie Down Production. When they arrest a black man, they need 30 cops or more. Well, now, song's 30 years old. I played another song called Black and Blue. I knew a cop named Roy, a good nigga boy. 30 years. I played 2 30-year-old songs that could have been written yesterday. Could have been written by a rapper if Kanye, like Kanye say, if they hadn't corrupted hip hop. Could have been written. It's irrelevant. I could play these songs for my sons and they'd be like, oh, when was that? Came out yesterday. Could come out in the future. So what disturbs me, and this is real, I hate to say it, but it's true. What disturbs me is not the fact that we got another atrocity. What disturbs me is black people acting surprised that there's another atrocity. That's illogical. That's illogical as hell. In fact, black people should be up in arms like there hasn't been an atrocity in quite some time. What's going on? What is different in the world? We know we ain't doing nothing different. We're doing the same shit all the time. But I'm going to get back to that. Black logic matters. I don't think all the marching, fighting, all the black people with guns, all the black militancy, all the black rage in the world would do anything without reason, logic, intellect. We have to think our way out of this. And the thoughts must be the director, the guide, the framework, the blueprint from which we construct our actions. But I want to talk about something even more important. Kanye. Kanye's back in the news. Kanye's back in the news. First of all, Kanye, I think he's becoming black again. He's coming back because he got a warrant out. So that's as black as shit Kanye done did in quite some time. He got a warrant out for his arrest because he walked up to some civilian, some citizen that was taping him and snatched her phone and threw it. So he's under investigation for, I think they're calling it assault. What are they calling it? Battery. Assault and battery. So, you know, Kanye's on the run. So I'm waiting on y'all to the free Kanye hashtags. I'm waiting on y'all to start talking about he's playing fifth dimensional chess and the man's trying to bring him down because he committed a relatively petty crime. You know, snatching someone. You can't do that. You can't. It's against the law. He snatched someone's phone from their hands because he felt that they didn't have a right to be recording him and threw it. Or did he snatch it and run with it? No, because then there'd probably be theft. So he snatched a person's personal property. And, you know, he apparently approached the person from a distance. So it's not even though the person was following him. The person just saw Kanye, and was just taping him. And he approached that individual and tried to tell them. So Kanye got a warrant out. Kanye is being investigated by the LAPD. So I'm waiting for the Kanye groupies, the Kanye cultist, the Coonish Kanye cultist, KKK, the Coonish Kanye cultist to start talking about. So, you know, if a warrant is issued or if he's being asked to come and speak on the incident or whatever, I'm waiting for y'all to pretend like Kanye was doing some high level, engaged in some, you know, high level opposition against some nefarious forces in order to, and now they're trying to frame him or some stuff as opposed to a delusional Uncle Tom engaged in some inappropriate behavior. and Kanye took his new wife. Like I said, I don't think it's fair for Kanye to still have a white girl, because I don't think he's on anymore. I don't think he's going to be headlining. He no more award shows for pimps and hoes and every other hypocrite to show off their clothes. He ain't going to be red carpeting. He won't be at the Met Gala. He's officially no longer on. Can we say that? So how come he gets to get a white girl still? Because Kanye told us you got to be on. He's not on no more. But anyway, he took his wife shopping at an exclusive Balenciaga boutique. And the only reason that stood out to me is because I've been seeing brothers talking about they boycotting Balenciaga. They boycotting Adidas. They were even going to boycott the NBA on behalf of Kyrie and Kanye. And Kyrie and Kanye, Kyrie's back chasing balls for the NBA. And Kanye's he even said that he supported Balenciaga. Remember that nonsense about Balenciaga and child and QAnon bullshit? That QAnon talking about Balenciaga had children in S&M. You know, so he went to took his white woman to Balenciaga, his blonde hair, beach blonde white woman to Balenciaga, and spent a grip. And I know it's black people was on the internet burning their Balenciaga, throwing their Adidas shoes in the garbage. And I was telling people when I saw this on Instagram, people going online to destroy or throw away their Balenciaga and Adidas. I'm like, why not donate that? It just seems wasteful of material and manufacturing. But so I just love how these cool celebrities that people, way too many people support, shit on y'all. Just literally shit on y'all. So where y'all at? Where are everybody who was boycotting Adidas and was boycotting Balenciaga in solidarity with Kanye West? Where you at, y'all? Where you at? Because y'all sure was in all in my social media feeds, all in my comment section. Even some of y'all went so far as to contact me directly to say I'm tearing down another black man and talk all this bullshit. And Kanye's teaching the truth and all that bullshit. Where they at, though? Where they at, though? What y'all got to say about this? Y'all gonna boycott Kanye for failing to boycott Balenciaga on behalf of Kanye? So what's the next step here? I remember every single time. I remember y'all was ready to go to war with when Ice Cube got in trouble, and it was called anti-Semitic, and y'all was ready to rally around Ice Cube. Y'all forget, I be remembering. And y'all was like, yeah, these Jews, and yeah, they trying to come, don't come for Ice Cube. And then Ice Cube went full Zionist. He went full Zionist, not just pro-Jew, not just pro-Israeli, but full right-wing conservative, kill all the Palestinian quality level Zionist. And went and spoke at a right-wing, far right-wing Zionist conference. Remember Nick Cannon got in trouble? Remember? Nick Cannon started playing footsies with the black Hebrew Israelites. Was walking around in a turban, talking about we the real Jews, and he got in trouble. And black people and y'all brothers, you groupies, was like, oh, they coming after Nick Cannon. And Nick Cannon converted to Judaism's right on your ass. Every single time. Every single time. Y'all wanted to rally around Dave Chappelle and make Dave Chappelle a hero. They coming for Dave Chappelle. The gays coming for Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle like, man, listen, I ain't with that stuff. And then he's going out there kicking it with Joe Rogan, racist. Elon Musk, he's out there kicking it with some of the most overtly racist. Elon Musk got all kind of lawsuits for discrimination, not paying black workers, not promoting black workers, allowing black workers to be subjected to hostile environments within his manufacturing and tech sector industry jobs. And he's up there playing footsies with Chappelle. Every single time y'all rally around one of these class enemy Uncle Tom sellout coon traders, Y'all try to elevate some dude who told y'all. Dave Chappelle said, I don't want to be Malcolm X. I don't want to be Martin Luther King because they died penniless. They died penniless, and I'm trying to get paid. So if it's between standing up for what I claim to believe or fighting in solidarity with my people versus getting paid, I'm going to choose getting paid every time. And I don't know where this myth of the poor black revolutionary came from. I really don't. Because you want to know how many comedians died penniless? Why wouldn't he say, I don't want to be a comedian, they died penniless? I remember I loved Red Fox. Sanford, I was raised on Sanford & Son. I love his performance, Harlem Nights. I just like Red Fox. I'm trying to become Red Fox. I already got the Red Fox Sanford & Son cardigan. I got the gray beard. I'm working on the walk. I'm morphing into Red Fox. Right before y'all very eyes. I'm a big fan of Red Fox. But he died with nothing but his 2 hound dogs by his side. They took his house, they took his car. He died penniless. All he had to reach out to his Hollywood friends. Red Fox was working until the day he died just to pay off his taxes. He couldn't even pocket the money he was earning. Do you know how many James Brown? So he'll say, I don't want to be a freedom fighter because they died penniless. But you comedians die penniless too. Entertainers die penniless too. You don't want to be a freedom fighter because you're a sellout. You a bitch. I shouldn't be using gendered slurs like that. So forgive me. You a punk. That's why you don't want to die penniless. That's why you don't want to be a freedom. That's why you don't want to be Malcolm X. You couldn't even pretend. You can't even hold Malcolm X. Use handkerchiefs. But how many entertainers, how many entrepreneurs die penniless? He's an entertainer. He's a comedian specifically. Not only do comedians die penniless, they die young as hell. I mean, and what's a more tragic course of life than comedians? But he said he doesn't want to be Malcolm X because Malcolm X died penniless. As far as I know, his girls attended private schools. Malcolm X was gainfully employed, and Malcolm X was involved in a dispute. But Malcolm X had a home. I went to see Malcolm X. If you go to Malcolm X College right now, Betty Shabazz donated Malcolm X's Lincoln too, and it was a clean ride, man. You could drive that car today. Malcolm X 98 Oldsmobile was clean. As far as I know, he had a home. He was employed. He had traveled the world doing good for people from Mecca, Medina, throughout Africa, and even Asia, Indonesia. Malcolm X is all over the world. Liberating all over the world. Had to respect, and his wife wasn't Dr. Betty Shabazz. Didn't his daughters attend? I mean, it's a tragic family. I think there was some trauma unaddressed because the Nation of Islam murdered him in front of his daughters. So there was some unaddressed trauma, but pennilessness was not one of the problems. He was kicking it with heavyweight champions of the world. Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King had won the Nobel Peace Prize, which came with like $1 million stipend. Malcolm X had white folks' money. Martin Luther King, where's this Martin Luther King died penniless? He was an upper middle class Negro. And if he wasn't murdered, I'm sure he would have been 6-figure to 7 figures with his Nobel Peace Prize and his doctorate, and he could have went and lectured anywhere in the world. And so why is Dave Chappelle promoting that lie? To justify his, like, listen, I don't give a damn. I'm not, that dude is weird. But I digress. Why did I get all the way over there? I was talking about Kanye. Really, I'm not even speaking about Kanye. I'm speaking about my brothers, my peers, middle-aged black men in particular. I got to speak to, I don't want to punch down. I want to talk laterally. My peers, these middle-aged black men rallying around and trying to live vicarious. I call it vicarism. The stipend was $250,000. Okay, somebody's correcting me. Now go and don't make me pull up the currency calculator. What I promise you, 1968. Now I'm gonna do it. So people want to be sticklers. Let's stickler all the way. What is it? Let's see. Time-based currency. Oh, wait. There's a calculator online to tell you how much money is worth. Let's just go back. Inflation calculator. There it is. Here, we're going to put in, how much you say? 2. Somebody want to play games? I play games with 2. It's probably worth more than $1 million. 250. Commas. Man, I be putting dots where it's supposed to be commas. I ain't never seen money, so y'all have to forgive me. I'm just pulling up. Let's see, how many zeros is that? Whoo, 5 zeros. 8. Oh, wait. That's too much. 2. I'm sorry. $250,000. I'm sorry. This computer. I hate Mac. Yep. Oh, it's worth over $2 million. So, Kahari Kazifa, I said that King won the Nobel Peace Prize, and she said that the reward was $250,000. If you had $250,000 in 1968, which is the day that King died, it is worth today $2,132,162.36. $250,000 today. So he got more than that. I ain't saying you hating, but I'm saying King wasn't broke, number one. So I said it was $1 million. I'm talking today money. It was actually, I'm shortchanging Dr. King. I'm shortchanging Dr. King. The equivalent today of what Dr. King got from the Nobel Peace Prize, King was a millionaire when he died. King was a millionaire. So why, and I hear this quite a bit, this whole myth of revolutionaries being broke. And yes, black revolutionaries are broke, but black revolutionaries are not broke. We are not broke as a result of being revolutionaries. We're a result of being broke because black people in general are broke. So anything you extract, any demographic within the black community is going to be broke. Most black entrepreneurs are broke. Most black entertainers, performers, artists are broke. Most black nurses, most black families are broke. So I don't know why they got to highlight the fact that black revolutionaries, black radicals, black Pan-Africanists, black conscious people are broke. Why do you single that out as if fighting and resisting the system that drives us collectively into poverty is the source of poverty? And I know that might sound shocking to you, but here's the thing. This is what they do. They go get a rapper. They go get Jay-Z. They go get Puffy. They go get Kanye. And they put them up there and be like, bam. And y'all think all rappers are like that. When everybody got rappers in their family. My son was just scheduled to perform at a rap concert, an indie rap concert. He's a broke-ass college student coming over to my house like it's Whole Foods, shopping in my refrigerator. He's welcome to. Let me not act like I got a problem with it. I don't want my wife to be, why are you talking about our son? My wife just got some vegan cinnamon rolls. She's waiting for our son to come pick up. So yes, y'all ever see the bird outside the nest? It looks like a fully formed bird. It's got all the feathers. It looks like it can fly, but it really can't. And you see a full-size bird sitting on the sidewalk, and then you see another bird fly down and give it food. When you start seeing that in the summer, the mid to late summer, you see, so that's kind of what it's like to have an adult child. He can drive. He's in college. He's articulate. He's taller than me. He's 6'4", 6'5". But every now and then you'll see his mother coming to get his grown man some stuff. So anyway, what was I talking about? Where do we get this idea? Everybody. So you see these rappers that are rich, and you don't know the vast majority of people who identify themselves as rapper, who aspire to be artists. Now, I know one brother I went to high school with, one of the best rappers, low key, but he lives a middle-class lifestyle. When he needs to go do a show, he flies. He might fly first class, but ain't no charter jets. He ain't popping bottles with models. He's pouring tea with his woman and his kids. So the vast majority in every other industry, and then what's that boy's name? Master P's son just came out and said we live check to check, hand to mouth. Master P's son just came out and said hand to mouth. Oh, and if you want to check me, you go to in2013 dollars. the number $2013.com, and that's an inflation calculator. So if you feel bad about how you live and you feel bad about your income, your $36,000 a year income, you just put in 36,000 and you put in the year, and you can say how rich you would have been if you was making this money 50, 60 years ago. Yeah, Lil Romeo. But I think we love to these broke revolutionaries, these dusty. And even there are rich revolutionaries. They're not really revolutionaries, but there are rich people who pretend to be revolutionary. Farrakhan's a multimillionaire. He's got millions. And he's black militant. So being black militant is not a formula for, if you want to play these, if you want to talk this bullshit. I just had a millionaire rapper tell me he was a revolutionary Pan-Africanist, and he's a billionaire, and he hangs out with other millionaires. So we can pick from any type of sector of the black masses and find brokenness. You're going to find predominantly brokenness, even black physicians. I worked in healthcare for 13 years as a radiographer. I met, I met actually Marcus Garvey's son, Dr. Garvey. And when I worked at Wyckoff Hospital, and I knew plenty, and I worked at Downstate Medical Center, which was a teaching college. I knew many black medical students. I knew many black physicians. And the vast majority of them, hand to mouth. I love that song. Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. Oh, that song is so. What album was that? I think it was Joy and Blues. Hand to mouth, it can't work. It can't work. Hand to mouth. Most of us are on some hand to mouth business. That's what he called it. Hand to mouth business. No, it can't work. Most of us are hand to mouth. So ain't no point in black people. We can have a lot of debates. We can have a lot of arguments amongst each other. Okay, Farrakhan's not a black militant. What y'all want from me? It's the best I can do. But hand to mouth. Hand to mouth, it can't work. It can't work. So, anyway, it's something else I wanted to talk about. I have to leave Kanye alone. Oh, y'all heard about the Ethiopian World Federation is asking for Madonna to be investigated for child trafficking. And I'm like, what? Madonna? Now here, I have to give a disclaimer. Because I don't like black conservatism. I don't like black reactionaries. I think they are dangerous and dysfunctional. So, Madonna, now here's my position. I don't think white people should be allowed to adopt black children. I do not believe that white people should be allowed to adopt black children. And if you are a white person who has adopted a black child, so be it. If it hurts, that's my position. I don't think that white people should be allowed to serve on juries. And I know this is seeming quite empty after we're coming off the heels of black cops. We know black people indoctrinated and propagandized in the systems and institutions of white dominations. We out, Dr. John Henry Clark said, we out Pope the Pope, we out Muhammad, and at this point, a lot of times we out cracker the cracker. But as a rule of thumb, I think there should be like there's a registered sex offender. I think there should be a registered race offender list. I believe Black people, independent of the government, independent of any official agencies, I think African people within our community should develop a registered race offender list. And once you're on that list, it's permanent. And it should be individuals, institutions, and agencies. And any individual, institution, or agency that commits racist aggression, racist exploitation against Black people, against African people, should go on their list, and their crime should be detailed. And every new offense needs to be regularly updated. And so that when Black people, like Fifth Third Bank, every time you look at Fifth Third Bank, every time you turn around, they're engaged in everything from mortgage and financial services, discriminatory financial practices against African people based on race. Fifth Third Bank registered race offender list. Random individual white people. Madonna has engaged in so many racist behaviors, so many predatory behaviors against Black people, against Black art, culture, vulture. She should be on that list. And when Black people find out someone, whenever you say, I'm going to open me a bank account, I'm going to buy my son a pair of shoes from this company, you go check the registered race offender. I'm going to go to this store. And I ain't saying you can't shop. I ain't saying you can't engage with that agency, that company, those individuals, but you at least know who you're getting in bed with. So that being said, I don't think Madonna should be allowed around Black people, period. All she did was steal from us. So I do support the effort to ban Madonna from going to Africa to adopt children or going or organizing or controlling any type of charitable NGO organization within the African continent. 100% for that. But this organization called the Ethiopian World Federation said that they want her investigated for child sex trafficking. And they want her charity investigated. And I'm like, wow, I wanted to know that. I'm like, really? Because I'm not surprised. I didn't want it to be true because I don't want children to be exploited in such a way. But I'm like, I'm not surprised. I am not surprised that Madonna is engaged in child. But then something made me curious. As I went to look into the story, I'm seeing all these right-wing, fascist, conservative individuals and news sites pick up the story. Madonna this, Madonna that. And then I'm seeing these Christian conservative sites attack it. And I'm like, hold on a second. This don't smell right. I said, on one hand, you have African children being exploited. And I said, then on the other hand, you have these people who I know don't give a goddamn about African children, African people, are acting outraged at Madonna. Why is Ben Shapiro, Fox News, and these other right-wing OAN, these other right-wing racist networks running with this story? And I'm like, God damn it. That's when I knew. That's when I knew. I'm like, it's something else to this. So I dig a little deeper and I find out that Madonna has a queer African son. Right? And see, Madonna did a few things to provoke this. So Madonna has like this queer African son. And so, first of all, the Ethiopian World Federation, I asked the government of Malawi to investigate Madonna for child sex trafficking. And then I'm like, well, why do you have this Ethiopian World Federation, which I've known of? They've been around forever and a day, but I have to be honest, I haven't really checked for them in quite some time. They've been around since the 30s. You know, they've been around. They've taken some good stances. They've done some good works. I've read their constitutions and really understanding everything helped with me in the past with my understandings of everything from Pan-Africanism to African identity of the African diaspora, right? So I looked at the Ethiopian World Federation and I'm like, why the Ethiopian World Federation leveled this request? But I noticed none of the outlets was saying she did this. They were all speaking in legalese. We're asking that she be investigated. There is suspicion. There's all this legalese, which means there's nobody has evidence that this has happened. There's only the suspicion. And I'm like, good, I'm willing to go off of suspicion. You know, I do them just like they do us. Y'all guilty till proven innocent. I don't believe nothing y'all say. And anything somebody say bad about you, I'm going to buy it before I sell it. Right? So I'm like, they speaking in legalese. Every time I look up the article about Madonna's sex trafficking African children, the language. And then like, so that's another thing. Number one, the right wingers, the fascists, the reactionary, the ultra conservative, the evangelical Christian and Catholics. The Catholics got the nerve. And so I'm like, what did Madonna do? So here's what happened. Madonna has this, if you care, I'm just trying to avoid talking about Tyree. If you will indulge me, we'll get into the Tyree thing, but I'm just, bear with me. Because the reason I'm talking about this is because how they manipulate black people. And black people I just see this story take off. And black people, if you're going to share any insider information, you got to check the sources now. It's irresponsible to be promoting misinformation and right-wing sites to the black masses. I don't care how small your social media reach or your voice or your platform is. Be responsible. So anyway, Madonna has this queer son who's 17. And I guess people believe that she made the boy queer. They don't buy that she took him and somehow turned him queer. And I'm like, there's an easy way to figure that out. Go ask the young man. Go talk to the young man. He seemed like an intelligent young dude. I really don't envy him being brought up with Madonna, but beyond that, you know, he's old enough where he can articulate his position and views, right? So anyway, that's one thing she did. She adopted this young man who's 17 or 18 at this point, and he I don't even know his orientation or anything. All I know is that one day he wears high fashion and he's genderqueer. He's like Jaden Smith, Will Smith's sons. He's a lot like that dude. Dresses in outlandish clothes, but rich kid shit. Rich kid shit. Paints fingernails, rich kid shit. Tattooed, But, I mean, it's consistent with the rest of his generation. But as far as I know, this young man and no one surrounding him has said that Madonna made him that way. I don't know. But that's one thing that's pissing off the Ethiopian World Federation. Number two, she did a spread in Vanity Fair. And it was called the Vanity Fair Icons issue. And so in that Vanity Fair Icons issue, she is dressed as the Madonna. So she's dressed as the Holy Mother of God, right? Saint Mary. And she's got her cleavage out and she's got the hairdress. And so it's sexy. I mean, how do we know if the Virgin Mary wasn't sexy? I mean, God could have had his pick of any woman in the world and chose this underage virgin. Y'all that's your God. So anyway, she's in this Vanity Fair magazine. Maybe I'll pull it up, just so y'all can see why Madonna's getting accused of child sex trafficking. We're going to pull this up, and everybody's mad. In the Vanity Fair Icons issue, right? And she's just busting it out. And so then she has like this sacrilege. People mad as hell. They're saying these sacrilegious images. So she's like, Got all these white women. God damn, you can't even pull up a website. The internet is for shit. Capitalism ruins everything. So you see, like, she's got like this queer dude. It's like the Last Supper, and the food's all jacked up, and she's got all these people in cardboard crowns, and she's there as the Holy Mother of God, and got these androgynous looking, and it's just in Vanity Fair magazine. They always do this kind of stuff. And there's the cover, Madonna Forever, and it's the icon issue, and it's got all this, you know, some gala freak out of the week, some gala freak out of the week. And then they also put in the accusation. Not only does she has a queer son that they believe she came to Africa, got a young black, adopted a black child, and brought him into the West and made him queer. And then they said she wrote a book called Sex. She's a woman who has sex, who is openly sexual and pro-sex. So we believe she's trafficking children in Africa. And my thing is like this. Like I told you, I ain't no fan of Madonna. I never liked Madonna. I don't mess with nothing to do with Madonna. And I'm ready. I'm here for calling her out. But one thing about when you're dealing with something like, it's just like with the QAnon thing and the Pizzagate, the people who work to address child sex abuse, child trafficking, said that these false accusations and this hyperbole and this old Balenciaga distracts from the real issue. And these when you go after and you sensationalize this issue as opposed to deal with the facts, the science, and deal with the real people who engage this problem, they say it makes it harder for them to do their work. It takes focus, resources, and expertise away from the real problem. So I'm like, how the hell is the Ethiopian World Federation now aligned with the right wing who exploit children? It is the right who are the exploiters of children, from sex trafficking to child labor. It is the right-wing capitalist conservatives who are the main drivers of this. You damn near, the Catholic Church has denounced Madonna for portraying their Holy Mother. You want to tell me Ethiopian World Federation is lined up with the Catholic Church to protect African children? So I'm like, damn. So I went and looked up the Ethiopian World Federation because I'm like, I ain't checked for them in a while. And their website's pretty much, and I'm like, oh, the website seems pretty standard. So I'm like, let me go to their social. So I go to their Instagram, right? And who do they have on their Instagram? Because that's the day-to-day talk. You want to communicate and see what they talking about and who they talking about on the daily. So then I go to Ethiopian World. You can go there yourself. You know, you go to the Ethiopian World Federation. You go to their Insta. And before... Wait, this is the wrong... Oh, they got more than one Insta. That's not the one I saw last night. Where's the one I saw? Oh, my God. Did they just change up their Wow. They must have knew I was coming for them. Because I saw... Hold on. Give me one more chance. I hate this. I know it's dead air. I'm sorry. I'm gonna look it up one more time. Where you at, though? Where's the official page? I mean, y'all some real assholes out here for just making all these dummy accounts when somebody's trying to get I found the official page. Oh, let me just go to the... Well, hold on. The website and then go from there. That's how I found it. I'm tripping. I ain't tripping on you. Okay, I can't hold up the show with this. I should have just left. Oh, maybe I did. No, I didn't leave the link on the notes. Membership. Ethiopian World Federation Inc. Oh, let's try that. Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing because I want y'all to see this for yourself. But if you don't see it, you just have to take my word for it. Here we go. Got your ass. Right? Is this it? No, this isn't it. Come on, you rosters. That's only. They got so many pages. I thought if I put the full official name in there, I give up, y'all. Where they at though? I don't know. It came right up like anyway. I'll just tell y'all what it is. I've taken up enough time with this. Anyway, long story short, if you go to the Ethiopian World Federation official page, right, you will find that they have on there. One thing they have on there is Ron DeSantos, the fascist, racist Ron DeSantos, the man that's banning critical race theories in public schools. They're praising him because at the same time that he's banning critical race theory, at the same time that he's taking away women's reproductive rights, at the same time that he's exploiting vulnerable immigrants, shipping them all over the world for political theater, he's also attacking LGBTQ. And he says any acknowledgement of gay people to children is grooming the children. Is grooming. Now, he's putting no restrictions on the Catholic Church or the evangelicals or the Jehovah's Witnesses or any of these right-wing religious institutions that are all either under investigation or have hundreds of convictions. The Baptist Convention for Child Predation. They support Ron DeSantos and his efforts. The Ethiopian World Federation. They got Dr. Umar all over the page. Reactionary right-wing Dr. Umar. But here's another thing. Since you name yourself the Ethiopian World Federation and you want to protect African children, right? If you go up and look, in Ethiopia has some of the highest rates of child brides in the world. 40% of all women in Ethiopia are married before 18. 40% of all female in Ethiopia are married before 40 before they turn 18. 18 and younger, 40% of all marriages are of girls 18 or younger. And of that percent, 14% of those marriages are to girls 15 or younger, child brides. And there's an organization called Girls Not Brides. Girls Not Brides that are fighting the scourge of child brides and child marriage. And they do it all over the world, but they have a special focus on Ethiopia. To say, and they're very modest. They were like, listen, we should ban the marriage of girls who are under 18 to adult men. That's their only request. They're not asking for anything radical. 12 million girls are married before the age of 18 every year to men over 18. Ethiopia has 40% of their marriages are girls, children being married to adult men. And there's nothing about that on the Ethiopian World Federation website. So it smelled funny to me that when people, a lot of times these reactionary forces, these black conservative, black reactionary, black Christian, black evangelical, black Islamic oppressive forces will slide in under the notion. Oh, and here's another thing that was on the Ethiopian World Federation website. They have full solidarity with the black Hebrew Israelites. And they are posting the black purple scripture eaters marching up and down the street, protect our men. The black and the black Hebrew Israelites are anti-African. They not only, I can't even, I've talked about, don't get me started on the Black Hebrew Israelites. My point is, if Madonna is to be called out for her behaviors in Africa, the Ethiopian World Federation is in no position to make that call. We can go to groups like Girls Not Bride or other organizations. There are plenty of African women on the ground in Africa fighting against the exploitation of African children. It's just like with Mugabe. Mugabe talked all this stuff. He was going to outlaw homosexuality. He was calling the British parliament a bunch of sissies, and we're African men. And all these African men were just collapsing over Mugabe. Mugabe was one of the most beloved black men in the early 2000s. But he was a Roman Catholic to the day he died. And he did nothing to stop the Roman Catholic predation against African children. At the same time, he was one of the most militant pro-black men, taking the land from the white farmers and giving it not to the people, but to his lackeys. Cronyism, kleptocracy. And that's why Mugabe, a country was bankrupt, but he had billions of dollars in his bank account. And when he got sick, he went overseas. He kept his money overseas and he went overseas. But because he had all that black alpha male rhetoric. So I'm saying this not to pick on the Ethiopian World Federation. I had tacit respect for them. If you had asked me before last week, what do you think about the African World Federation? I'm like, oh yeah, you know, that's them Rasta cats. Good food, good music, good vibes, Irie. But I'm like, this is a right-wing, it has become a right-wing reactionary formation. And now they fighting against Madonna. I don't like Madonna. But now I figured out I don't like the Ethiopian World Federation. They're both shit. And guess what, black people? Shit versus shit, we don't have to pick a side. There's nothing demanding or requiring us to pick a side between shit. You can reject all shit unapologetically and expeditiously. We can reject shit. It is our right. It is our duty. So when shit goes up against shit, or let me say it in a more sophisticated way. When the lion and the leopard go to war, the antelope is not obligated to take a side. But, you know, I was disappointed because I'm like, wow, we have a black organization coming out against the exploitation of black children. This is good. But then when I go look at it, that's not what it is at all. It's a black reactionary right-wing organization using the exploitation or the potential exploitation of the children to advance their reactionary point of view. Just like the Black Hebrew Israelites know the black community is under siege, know the black community is under attack. So they come and say they want to protect the black community when they really want to impose even greater sanctions and greater exploitation on us. Can you imagine what life under a Old Testament theocracy would be like? It's literally a nightmare. Oh, now y'all talking about rosters. Hey, music. Focus on the music. You know, get to the point. Shout out to the Rastaman them. Ital food, Irie vibes, cool and relaxed. But yes, Rastafarianism is a cult, and it has a lot of reactionary backwardness. Yes, okay, yeah, it's time to call out the Rastas too, man. They're pretty shitty. But the music, I love, especially 90s. It's way in my brain, no cocaine. I don't wanna go insane. Oh no. So I like reggae music, but Rastafarianism, man, y'all got a lot of housework. Ethiopian World Federation, chickadee check yourself. I mean, leave that Madonna fight to somebody who is not as bad as Madonna in many ways. And stop trying to coach your homophobia behind protecting children. Just come out and say it. We don't like this gay stuff. Just say it. I will respect you more. Even if I don't agree with you, I would respect you more. I would respect you more. At least that's the good thing about Kanye. Kanye was initially came out trying to pretend like he gave a damn about music and artists and they taking our culture. He's like, nah, I just hate Jews. And he hates Jews based on his Christian, and Christianity they call them Christ killers. That was what they used to call in medieval Christianity. They called Jews Christ killers. So Kanye is really doing the Christian thing. Everybody loves Christianity until some Christian shit happens. Kanye is better Christian than most of y'all. He keeps it real because Christianity is a murder cult. It's a male chauvinist murder cult. So why wouldn't he admire a mass murderer like Hitler if he's a faithful member of a male chauvinist murder cult? God is a mass murderer. God is right now plotting the genocide and murder of all humanity. And the vast majority of humanity, billions of people, will suffer for all eternity. Imagine you live maybe 60 years, maybe 85 years. You live for 85 years and you do one wrong thing, and this God will punish you for trillions of eternities. That's the kind of God you worship, and then get surprised when somebody who worships a psychotic God like that comes out and says, hey, Hitler, such a bad guy. I like him. Of course you should like him. I mean, he's as Christian as they come. How many souls did he send to on high, on yonder? But anyway, a lot of these organizations, it frustrates me when they exploit our exploitation. A lot of these reactionary black groups, not fucking around coalition, they take up arms and like, we're going to help black people when they're advancing an agenda that is just as bad, if not worse, than a lot of the things we're already suffering. Let's move on. The mental of the black man has been torn. So, yeah, but I'm saying that to say, when you hear a black organization say something that might be good, don't fall for the okie doke. That's all I have to say. We can only effectively and justly oppose oppression and exploitation from leftist ideological positions. Otherwise, we're just replacing oppression with oppression. Black people, there is no solutions for us embedded in reactionary, right-wing, conservative, or even what they call traditionalist views. Revolution is anti-tradition. All these Christian, Islamic, conservative, Hebrew, everything embedded within that. Y'all look at the surface. It means to be pious, to love thy neighbors. Go read the doctrine. White domination was born out of Abrahamic mythology. The pathological concept of white superiority was born out of and justified by Abrahamic theology. Judaism, Christianity, Islam are Abrahamic religions. And don't even get me started on Hinduism and Buddhism. You can't run to the East either. Ain't nothing good over there. Ain't nothing nice. The caste system. No. We have to be leftist. We have to be rational. We have to be radical. We have to be secular if we want to bring about real justice and liberation. But many of y'all, some people listen to me right now thinking they rock with me or they align with me. Many of y'all really are just interested in trading white oppression for black oppressors. Y'all really just want a black overseers. Y'all want black capitalists. Y'all feel good in your heart when you see black billionaires showing pictures of Puffy and Jay-Z and Nas all standing together in tailored Italian suits. And y'all feeling black pride behind that bullshit, thinking Dave Chappelle got something relevant to say besides some funny jokes. A lot of y'all looking up to and y'all want a black elite, black bourgeoisie, black entrepreneurialism. Y'all not really liberation minded. Y'all just want a black version of this cracker shit. And we got it. And we got it. We got a lot of black people packing up their bags to go live under some African dictatorship. We got a lot of black people in the West packing up their bags to go to Africa and live like colonizers and use their Western currency to and to take advantage of the suppression of African development, and want us to praise them for going back to Africa to build a villa. Jay-Z has a mansion in Africa. Jay-Z has an estate in Africa. Jay-Z has a plantation on the African continent, and y'all see that as progress. You come here and make the Yankee dollar. And a lot of African immigrants come here because they're part of the African elites. They come here and make this Yankee dollar and go back and lord it over their people and take advantage of the injustice. They don't go there to redistribute wealth. They don't go there to fight neo-colonialism. They go there to take advantage of colonialism. But where are we? Oh, speaking of bullshit, that story, raise your hand if you shared that stupid ass story talking about transgender people wanted to ban Aretha Franklin's Natural Woman. And y'all like, protect Aretha Franklin. That's another right. And the right wing took that. It was a parody. And the right wing took it and used it as a legitimate news story. I mean, so gullible. I mean, literally, Chicken Little. They grew up when we were kids. There was a story for small children called Chicken Little to tell you not to just believe anything you hear and to go into hysterics. Be rational. Y'all listen to these right-wingers. Y'all listen to these people. If you know, most of y'all don't even know a transgender person. Some of y'all probably interact with a transgender person and don't even know it. Or don't know somebody transgender, and y'all, everybody, oh, they going after Aretha Franklin. Not one of us heard from an actual transgender person that they have a problem with Aretha Franklin or her song, but we're listening to these white, conservative whites tell us, and we out here creating a movement over a problem, a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. And y'all really talking about we're going to protect Aretha's legacy. I'm just saying, there's a lot of we are in the information age, and misinformation is. We're in the misinformation age. Say that, I'll say, be not fooled, because I'm like, they can have set off a stampede any day they want. So let's go on. Oh, rest in piss. Diamond of Diamond and Silk, dead, rotten corpse of a coon laid in the street. Diamond and Silk. Diamond has died of hypertension and heart disease. How befitting. So she was black on the inside, even though she acted and talked like a coon ass cracker. Diamond from Diamond and Silk. She had that she had that pressure. She had the sugar. You know, so she died black. If she didn't live like a black woman, she died like a. Let me stop playing. That's really bad. Chronic health and chronic disease in the black community. I mean, you know, scumbag. She's a scum coon of coons. One less coon. But the problem is, for every coon that dies, 5 more pop up. So Diamond and Silk, West and Piss, I mock your life and death. I ain't gonna get into details about that, because you go back and watch her funeral and the people getting up talking all that nonsense at her funeral. I don't like a race traitor. I don't have no love, sympathy, or solidarity for race traitors. If you, I don't know what you're saying. Why are you threatening me? Namdi, what do it? As much as you know, cut all ties. What did I do? Namdi's threatening me to cut all ties and call me out to Front Street for what? What I do? I don't even know what I've done. But anyway, let's get back to Black Logic Matters. Atrocity hopping versus sustained rebellion. All right, first, let's just clarify some things. What is Black Logic? Black Logic is simply Black people resonating with reality. Before you can effectively or deliberately change reality, you have to acknowledge what it is. Before you can cure a disease, you must have an accurate diagnosis of the disease. So what logic is simply being able to discern what the facts are, what reality is, allowing evidence to inform your conclusions and thus your actions. We need logic. Too many times we just react and respond to things, but we do not intellectual. Like there's a strong thread or a strong streak of anti-intellectualism. There's a strong tie of anti-intellectualism within the Black community. And I've been seeing it all my life. Maybe I've engaged in it. I don't recall, but I wouldn't be surprised. Every time I say something, people come out and bust me. But if you go anywhere where Black people are debating, dialoguing, going back and forth about an issue, and you'll have someone inevitably will jump up and say, they're not with all this talk. They're about action. And I used to call them Action Jacksons, and it never failed. It never failed. I'd find myself engaging with African people over whatever the issue is. It don't matter. Educating our youth, protecting our women, entrepreneur, building Black business, supporting Black businesses. No matter what it was, Black people would be sitting there and say, well, this is the problem. These are the proposed solutions. And then some other Black person say, well, that's not really the problem. You're missing out on it. You lack nuance. Well, let me just address if somebody's mad that I said Black people are going back to Africa to behave like colonizers. If you ain't doing that, then I'm not talking about you. I'm only talking about the ones doing it. I know personally. I've raised money for and I've engaged in dialogue with African people who returned to Africa to engage in the anti-colonial struggle. And they're not there being colonizers. I know that. And I've had them on my show and interviewed them about their experiences. So I know that not every Black person going back to Africa is going there as a colonizer. I'm mainly talking about Dave Chappelle, who's that Chance the Rapper, people going there with white corporate dollars. Obama. Remember, Obama made his pilgrimage back to his motherland. So we don't need any nuance. It's a fact. You either going there as an ally and to fight against the exploitation of Africa, or you're going to Africa to engage and participate in the exploitation of Africa. Where's the? I don't need no nuance. That's for you nerds. Y'all can do it. That's it. If it's up, then it's up. But I digress. And shout out to Fode, who I'm referring to, going to Africa as an ally in the struggle, not as a parasite. But anyway, where was I? Logic. So let's take this thing with police brutality. Black people, every Black person I know wants to end police brutality. Even if you talk to them pigs that murdered Tyree, they would have told you they're against police brutality. And I say, how do everybody want something, but we don't got it? Or a more common example that I use is this concept of unity. Everywhere you go, Black people want unity. You can't find a Black person who's anti-Black unity. We need to be unified. We need to be unity, unity, unity. You go ask Clarence, Uncle Tom asked. You want Black? Yes, well, I want, but everybody want Black unity. But yet, how you have something that 98% of the people want, but nobody has. Right? Right? So let's look at police brutality. We seek to end police brutality, but we engage illogically. We behave illogically in relationship to police brutality. So Black lives matter, but Black logic matters because only logic can rescue us and preserve Black lives. And I'll come back to that. So what is atrocity hopping, right? To me, because I'm trying to break this down and then we'll talk about what's really the haps, which is what I want to get to. Sustained rebellion. So atrocity hopping, I think it's pretty obvious. Here's something you have to understand. What happened to Tyree happens every day to Black people across the globe. And that's why I don't even talk about, I don't like to say police brutality, police atrocities, or this. I like to say exposed or aired or acknowledged, because we kind of act like, well, between Floyd and Tyree, there were countless atrocities committed, countless, across the United States and across the globe, right? And why is this one resonating where others don't? And it's really, I hate to say it, it's the media. The same people that can get y'all mad at Madonna and got y'all fighting for Aretha Franklin when nobody's bothering Aretha Franklin over some parody news nonsense. You know, it is very concerning to me how we are swayed, how we are turned on or shut down by the multimedia system. Oh, I didn't. When did I say I was going to do reactionary right-wing propaganda? Oh, I was about to say, I thought I did something wrong. I ain't done nothing. Anyway, atrocity hopping. So there's a cycle in this country that has been going on where there's an atrocity committed, and then there's a special step. The atrocity has to be exposed in a spectacular way. The media has to pick it up, because most atrocities that this system commits against Black people is suppressed, is ignored, goes by the wayside, forgotten. So you got atrocity, you got exposure, you got protest or demonstrations, you got tokenism and concessions, then you get pacification, and then it goes down the memory hole and they repeat. So Black people, we hop from atrocity to atrocity with no discernible changes in the system and no discernible changes within the minds and culture and relationships of Black people one to the other. That's what I call atrocity hopping. You know, and it's been going on. The very first time I ever participated in an organized rebellion was in 1992, the so-called Rodney King riots, but it was the Rodney King Rebellion. And I was out there, and I really felt like I was a part of something. I really was like, this shit, that's it. And I was 18 years old. It was the summer between my high school graduation and I was attending college. And the verdict came down from Simi Valley. I remember it vividly. And I was in downtown Brooklyn. And I don't even know, because there wasn't no internet. It literally was on the wind. Like, not guilty. They said the motherfuckers wasn't guilty. They're not guilty. It was because it wasn't like y'all have now with these phones. It wasn't like the shit came through. And I was downtown Brooklyn, and I started seeing the shopkeepers pull down the shutters right off Flatbush Avenue, round the corner from Junior's, over by the Albee Square Mall. They started pulling down the shutters, and people started pouring into the streets, leaving the car. And I'm like, what? And he was like, not guilty. And I'm like, not guilty? You mean the Coon? One of the cops' names was Coon, and them got off. And when they started shaking the shutters and we started throwing and knocking shit over, and, you know, it wasn't as like the LA. Shout out to the, you know, like, who was it said? One time tried to clown and we had to burn the whole shit down. And I wish I was in Kansas City. People was getting down. And I thought, this is it. It was like a month and a half, 2 months before I was supposed to start college. And I'm like, should I even bother with college? I had my copy of Guerrilla Warfare by Che Guevara, Mao Zedong, Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare by Kwame Nkrumah. I was like, hey, well, we time to, you know, hit the sewers. Guerrilla Revolutionary Molotov cocktail is on. And within a week, some of the same people that was in the streets was like, oh, the World Series or whatever sporting event. And that was a painful lesson for me, that Black people could wake up and go right back to sleep. right back to the status quo, right back to business as usual. That people's like, after they executed the innocent man, Troy Davis, we ain't going to Georgia no more. We ain't eating Georgia peaches no more. And they literally went from boycott Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia is Wakanda. And the capacity to understand the need for outrage, to understand the need for resistance and rebellion, to understand the deep ingrained injustices, the rage, the justified rage, the ability to come together as a horde, as a one organism to fight against the local police department, the National Guard, the Army Rangers. It's like Karis once said, if we wake up and unite, the police department will lose the fight. Every time the police push us to the limit, we back them suckers down, where they have to call in special forces, where they have to declare a state of emergency, where the goddamn stock market collapses off of just this small number of disorganized, black, outraged people. And we can do all that and go right back to sleep. Black people outraged right now. Y'all going to be in the next week or two watching the Super Bowl. The NFL has had a record season, and not a record season in terms of what was happening on the ball field. The NFL has had a record season in terms of revenues and ratings. And we fight to kneel on the goddamn field when we shouldn't be on the goddamn field. When we shouldn't be a black body on that field in the stands. Don't even work the cameras, black refs, and now black people coming to tell. I heard today, we're going to have 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. That's what I call atrocity hopping. Where this nation can demonstrate openly that it has nothing in store for African people except genocide. That is the trajectory. African people are on a trajectory of genocide. Every social indicator, every single social indicator, economic, cultural, social, political, the housing market, banking and finance, education at all levels from preschool, secondary, graduate level. Every single social indicator says that African people within the confines of the United States, U.S. citizens, our trajectory is genocide. And we're going from Breonna Taylor to Tyree, George Floyd, and we just hop from atrocity to atrocity. In the same, I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I'm embarrassed. I had a dream that I was talking to Jesse Jackson. I don't even know if Jesse Jackson can talk anymore. I just saw him a few days ago over at the Rainbow Push headquarters. And they were like literally carrying him into their headquarters. I had a dream I was sitting across from Jesse Jackson. And he was talking, and I could only focus on just how old he was. I was just looking at his liver spots on his hands and how, his arthritis. And I'm sitting there looking at Jesse Jackson as he's talking to me and another, I don't even know who the other person. And I'm dreaming, and I'm like, I know I should be listening to his words, but all I can look at is how old he is. And I have no problem. I want to be old. I want to get old with my wife. I want us to be 100 years old, sitting in rocking chairs, watching great grands running across our yard. I want to get old. I ain't got nothing against being old. But I don't want to grow old fighting against the exact identical goddamn conditions and atrocities that we're dealing with today. I'm not against, let's have some new atrocities. Maybe we'll be fighting AI robots and nanobots, self-replicating nanobot machine weapons. Let's get some new goddamn problems. So I had a dream. I was looking at Jesse, and all I could focus on was just all the indications of his age. And it seems like he was just deteriorating before my eyes. And I woke up this morning and had to come in here. But it's the same people saying the same shit. And I say to black people, name one thing that we're fighting for today that we weren't fighting for 100 years ago, which isn't a tragedy. To be honest, I understand the arc of history is quite long, and we're engaged in a multi-generational struggle. So I do not feel bad that black people are fighting today what we were fighting 100 years ago. There's no shame in that. Here comes the shame. I asked the second question. Name a tactic or strategy or response that we employ today that we didn't employ 100 years ago. So if you got the same problems and the same responses, that's the goddamn problem. Same problems, new and evolving responses, that is commendable. So that's why I call it atrocity hopping. And I'm not doing it with y'all. I'm not doing it. And I'm the resident, my wife and I, we're the resident militants of our families. So whenever something racial happens and it starts to resonate with the everyday black people who aren't day-to-day engaged in the black liberation struggle, they want to call us and to make meaning of it. So I have relatives literally calling me from across the country. That boy, you see how they did that boy? And I got a black son and you got a black son. Oh, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Not to diss my relatives. I'm happy to hear from my relatives, even under such circumstances. My wife gets the same call. You see what they did? And me and my wife, we going across the country to deal with this stuff every day. And we're not just looking at Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Los Angeles, Chicago. We're looking at Haiti. We're looking at Jamaica. We're looking at Brazil. I remember when the Brazilian Olympics, and I was telling black people, they're literally ethnic cleansing. They're slaughtering black children. Homeless black children are just being mowed down in the streets by the Brazilian police. And I couldn't give nobody to give a damn. And black people cheering, black girls flipping in Brazil. Black people running in Brazil. And I'm like, man, fuck Brazil and fuck the Brazilian Olympics. They killing black people and displacing black people in the Olympic Village. Same shit they did in Atlanta. So it's kind of hard for me to get revved up with y'all because I stay up. Like, booze, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So y'all, people think I'm insensitive because I'm not out here shedding the tears with y'all. And I'm not, oh, I just couldn't sleep last night. Oh, protect yourself. Oh, you must heal yourself. Oh, black people, don't look at the video. I see people online. If you share that video, I'm going to block you. I see people that call me negative. They call me a hater. They call me the Grinch. I embrace it because I don't need the white media to tell me what's going on. I don't need an incident because this is going on every day. For every black man you see murdered in the streets, there are black men being murdered behind the walls of prisons. And they take you to the prison infirmary. I worked in a prison infirmary for 3 years, and they can write whatever they want on that requisition. They have a black man lacerated, his internal organs outside his body. You can see his intestines going through peristalsis, contracting outside his body. And they'll write on there, oh, he slipped and fell. Or he self-mutilated. I saw an inmate that literally was cut open where you could see his spinal column, his vertebrae sticking out his back. And they said he was self-harming. Well, you can't even reach it. I can't even scratch my scapula. I can't even scratch my angel bone, as y'all call it. How you going to cut yourself from the top of your neck? By the time you make that first incision, you're going to stop from the pain. Somebody open this dude up. And I'm like, why are y'all bringing him to the infirmary? This is a clinic. He should be in a goddamn a trauma ward. These atrocities are happening every day. I remember when I was in New York. And I went to my friend, I had two good friends, two of my best friends. One's from GT, from Guyana. Oh gosh, I wish I heard him say, you know, from Kingston and Georgetown, Guyana. And I remember the Abner Louima, where the cops took this Haitian man into the bathrooms at the precinct and rammed a plunger so aggressively up his anus that it pierced his colon and came out his stomach. And I'm like, can you believe this? And to a person, everybody I knew from Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad was like, Yeah, it's bad, but if this had happened in my country, wouldn't he said the cops fold you up right in front of everybody and dare you to say something. The brutality of the Caribbean police, of the Central, South, and Latin American police, the brutality of Africa's security forces. Y'all, black men committing atrocities on behalf of their white masters against other black people. If this is something new to you, if this is something shocking to you, you have not been paying attention. You do not hold true solidarity. Just take a moment to look at the Jamaican cops. It's not new to me. Somebody literally said to me just, can you believe these were black officers? These are black officers. I'm like, everywhere I look, under the systems and institutions of white, right now you have AFRICOM. There were black officers in liberated South Africa, post-apartheid South Africa, who mowed down dozens of workers, live machine gun fire in front of us all. And do you know that we are them and they are us or not? Do you acknowledge that we are African, they are African, them is our brothers and sisters or not? Or is that just during Kwanzaa? Is that just during, okay, in 2 days we got Black History Month. When are you African? Every day, all the goddamn time, or just when it's convenient for you, for your own pride? Is being Pan-African about your personal pride? We built the pyramids, or is it about solid, real world, concrete solidarity? Because if you're truly united and you're truly an African, Pan-Africanist, then black people with white authority engaging in atrocities against other black people should not surprise you, shock you. It should be nothing new to you. Everything that the United States exports abroad always comes back. There's a whole book written called blowback. There's a term for it in the goddamn Western Dictionary, saying that the atrocities that the United States commits abroad always return to the United States. And it wasn't some black radical who wrote that. It wasn't even a white liberal who wrote it. It was a white conservative, a pro-Reagan, Cold War conservative. Thomas Johnson said, listen, we go do that shit over there. It always comes right back to our doorstep. Black people, I care about black people. He's saying black people, we the real Jews. You know, Mike Brown, who was shot in Ferguson, Missouri. Oh, y'all done already left that atrocity. Atrocity hopping. The cop who killed him was trained in Israel. All these small weapons fires. Israel has a whole industry of going all over the world, teaching other police forces how to maintain urban suppression of an urban population, urban tactical policing and warfare. It is the billion-dollar industry that they outsource because they have in Palestine, the occupied territory, the West Bank, they have the largest open-air prison in the world. And they have perfected techniques of keeping people who are prone to uprising and outrage controlled, suppressed, psychological warfare against populations, and armed engagement of that population. I don't care about Israel. I care about what's happening in my hood. What's happening in Israel is what's happening in your hood. The expertise and the genocidal techniques of Israel are right here being utilized on the south side of Chicago. So we have to stop atrocity hopping, meaning ignoring some shit. Hopping means if you're jumping from one thing to the next, everything in between that last hop is ignored. So you're going to ignore what's happening in Haiti. You're going to ignore what's happening really across that. You're going to ignore that anything that's not picked up by the corporate media. We can't atrocity hop. This atrocity, exposure, protest, tokenism, concession, pacification, memory hold, repeat. How many more times y'all gonna do this? My son is 14 years old. And this is at least a dozen instances of atrocities of this nature is in his memory right now. I got a freshman in high school, and he can name a major atrocity for every year of his life. And guess what? From the day he was born to now, what are we doing different? He goes to his family. We go to visit our relatives. They watching the Super Bowl, celebrating Christmas, and just living life like it's all good. We haven't sat down as a family like, listen, we got all these black babies. I got nieces, nephews, great nieces, and the great nephews. Soon our children will be having children, and some of y'all children's children are ready to start having children. And we haven't sat down and say, listen, what are we going to do differently than we did before? We can literally, the protest signs I carried as a junior in high school, the signs I carried, the slogans I chanted, I could just, if I kept them. We do have some, actually we do. My wife and I do have a couple of our old activism and protest signs in storage somewhere. We could just handle, we don't even have to update them. We don't have to change the slogan. We just might have to change the name. Scratch Rodney King, and put Tyree. That's the real tragedy for me. That's what upsets me. Not another black man being brutally beat to death. That doesn't, it doesn't upset me. Not the fact that it was black cops doing it. That doesn't upset me. How could it? That would be like looking at the sun rising in the east. And what is the sun doing coming up in the east? That's what the sun has been doing since the day I was born. And that's what it did from the day my father's born, my great father, and my father's father. Sun been coming up in the east. And y'all acting outraged. Oh, thank you so much. Faux mint dissident. Oh, that's clever. Black officers were ground level Obamas. Obama went on an orgy of murder across the globe, and y'all still love Obama. Michelle just came here was just on my block. I was walking up the street and I saw these black Suburbans on 53rd Street. Half of 53rd Street is all black Suburbans. I'm like, what is going on? Are they shooting a movie? They were like, no, Michelle Obama's coming to get some tea and crumpets. So y'all clear the block, peasants. And black people crying tears because Michelle's on the block. And and y'all saw her sitting on George Bush's lap, another mass murdering international war criminal. I say this all the time. Michelle has some type of fetish. If you really like Michelle, go out and commit international war crimes. She'll come and eat candy right out of your hand and sit on your lap. You don't believe me? Go look at her sitting on George Bush's and him and his daddy. She was grinding up on George Bush Sr. and Jr., two of the most wretched white men in recent history, let alone her husband. In a recent interview, Michelle Obama said she hated her husband. And I thought she was going to say, I hated my husband because he's killing black people all over the world. He's destabilizing black folks. When he became president, black people lost more than half of what little bit of wealth we accumulated since civil rights. He presided over the greatest loss of black wealth of almost any presidential administration since the Great Depression. I thought she was going to say that's why she said she hated him because he didn't help change diapers. Oh, so we need to stop atrocity hopping. I'm not saying be cold and heartless, but be logical. Now, I'm not saying be Dr. Spark. I do know what it is. Rage is justified, but I got a sustained outrage. I go to it's a sustained background rage. So I can't really because I'm there. I'm already there. Where y'all get to when y'all look at that video, I'm already there. I was there before the video aired. I was there when that young brother was out taking pictures of the sunset. I was already there. I don't need another goddamn atrocity to get me. I've already concluded. When I was 14 goddamn years old, I understood how I was going to live my life. making a positive contribution to the just aspirations of my people. I concluded ideologically that I was going to be a black radical. I was going to be against this shit, and I was going to use whatever time, talent, and resources I had to oppose this shit in whatever way I could. So I'm already there. I've been there since I was 14 years old. So I can't really join. And people really think, oh, well, I can't atrocity. Yeah. And I'm sorry. Oh, they killed somebody. Yeah. And I don't say yeah and to dismiss it. I really want to know, what are you going to do differently? I mean, can you just do something minor? Don't watch the fucking Super Bowl this year. No buffalo wings, no nachos, just tune out. Just tune out. You can watch the regular season. I mean, just do something that is completely counter to what you would have done if this hadn't happened. No more atrocity hopping for black people. This is the status quo. Do you know what that means? This is the way things are. And for all you black people who want to be entrepreneur, all you black people who want to create generational wealth, you cannot be mad about black people being slaughtered, because the wealth of the world is rooted in black exploitation and slaughter. If black people asserted ourselves and secured liberation, if Native Americans asserted themselves and secured their property and liberation, if the natives of Latin America, if Haiti was free and sovereign, if Africa was united and decolonized, there would be no capitalism. There would be no bags to secure. There would be no way for you to accumulate and accumulate fiat by the hyper exploitation of the labor and rape of resources of others. And I promise you, that is the only way to get rich. The only way to get rich. And y'all think, oh, I'm not trying to go exploit Africa. I'm going to open me like Rick Ross. I'm going to open up some chicken franchises. I'm going to be like Slutty Vegan. I'm even better. I'm going to do environmental entrepreneurialism and open up a bunch of vegan restaurants when Slutty Vegan and Rick Ross are both under investigation for exploiting their workers. Because you can run a business. But as I told y'all, like Dave Chappelle said, most business owners are not rich. Most business owners are not rich. The only rich business owners are those who hyper exploit their workers, who used to cheat, who wealth comes from putting in very little and extracting a lot. Put in a little and get out a lot. That's what profit is. Profit is literally theft. So stop the atrocity hopping. We need sustained rebellion. The police can't defeat the masses. That's why whenever they provoke a rebellion, the U.S., they have to call the National Guard. And then the National Guard has to call on the military, because the police departments cannot defeat us. The police do not exist to enforce laws. The police exist to enforce the status quo. When they do surveys of the police, they find that the police have hostilities in all the traditional manners, meaning that they are racist, they are anti-immigrant, they are also anti-Semitic. But they found that regardless of how the police feel personally, they only target those who are vulnerable within the status quo, meaning you have a lot of anti-Semitic Christian conservative cops who believe in what is called the Zog. There is a Zionist-occupied government. They believe, just like Kanye, the Jews run the banking system. They all read Behold a Pale Horse, but they don't bust open the head of little Hasidic kids because of where the status quo is. So it is irrelevant to target, reform, hire black cops, and civilian review. You must upend the status quo. It is inadequate to simply reform the police. How can oppressed minority upend the status quo? You can't do it directly. You have to engage in asymmetric warfare. And warfare on all fronts, not simply armed rebellion, taken to the streets, or riots. I support riots. I support protest. I support demonstration. I support activism. But if you look at the root words, protest, activism, and demonstration, protest. What is a test? A test is to evaluate where you stand. So when you go take a test in school, we got somebody who believes this is a Zog, as if the Christian Protestants don't run the Jew. Oh, let me not get into this. Anyway, a test is an evaluation of your comprehension and your readiness. So what is a protest? A protest is a dress rehearsal, should be a dress rehearsal for revolution, to test the people's readiness and competence. How do the people understand the issue at hand? Are they prepared and willing to engage in what it takes? A protest. You cannot change the world through protest. A protest is just that, a test. It is an evaluation. It is a dress rehearsal. A demonstration. Demo. What is a demo? It's you pretty much showing those from around, within and without, what you're able or to do. So a demonstration is say, hey, we're going to close down this highway. We're going to surround City Hall with 10,000 workers. We're going to stand silently. We're going to all stand up and turn around and walk out. That's a demo. And the demo is not the power. The demo is like, listen, if we can all stand up in unity and turn around, if I can put 1,000 bodies at downtown City Hall, if I can put 10 bodies on the highway, that is a demonstration that I can level up. I can level up. Activism, activist, act. What is an act? It is a performance. And so you should put on this performance to demonstrate to the people. Man, let me ignore the comments. So I am all for protest, activism, and demonstrations. But the problem is we put the wrong things in and we expect the wrong things out. Activism, protests, and demonstrations are only effective if they are tactics and strategies within or components of a larger revolutionary movement. Because revolution needs to build institutions and confront and engage and subvert the status quo. Not simply speak truth to power. So Black people, we have to engage in asymmetric warfare on within all levels of human interaction, within the educational, the labor, the workplace, goddamn, look at this time, the workplace, of course, on the field, armed rebellion, ideological rebellion, cultural, social rebellion. We have to sustain that every day. If there's never another body cam footage of a Black man being murdered or a Black woman who is having her front door kicked in and murdered by the cops, if another cop never engaged in brutality, excessive use of force, or summary execution of another Black person, we still are obligated to carry out full-on revolution. Integration and equality. What the blood clot did we think equality with white people would look like? We literally had generations fighting for equality and integration. Those Black cops that murdered Tyree are integrated and equal to white people. That's what integration and equality is. Anyway. Thank you for listening. I will be on Black Power Media Wednesday. And then Earn Your Liberation show with Jared Ball and Geechee Friday. Please support my efforts. You can become a Patreon. Shout out to my Patreons. You can make contributions and donations. Somebody asked about super chats. I guess I could turn that on. I do appreciate you helping to sustain my show, specifically in Q4 Radio in general. We will be back with the BroDiallo live broadcast next Monday morning. Until then, you can always reach out to me, engage. I really, really do appreciate my people and all those engaged in progressive liberatory organizations, even up into white leftists. Shout out to white leftists, anti-fascist, eco-terrorist. Shout out. But anyway, so I got to get out of here. I'm over time. Again, we opened up the show with 30 Cops by Boogie Down Production and Black and Blue by Brand Nubian. And we're going to go to Black Cop, also off of the Return of the Boom Bap by KRS-One. And I will see y'all next Monday. Oh, I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all Wednesday evening with the Politics and Bullshit. I think that's what we're going back to. Politics and Bullshit is returning. So that's good news. Anyway, peace.